Hey, it's Dave Pylon of Pylon Arts and Entertainment. Here again to do some more videos. This time you might have noticed I didn't say product reviews. It's my usual go-to, because this time I decided I was going to do something a little bit different. If you've been watching the other videos, you might have seen the one where I said I was kind of running low on products to review. I'm still going to do those, so expect more of those. But I also wanted to try to do something different. So I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be. I think just some general, like I said, life advice, relationship advice, stuff like that. I might end up changing the category later. I'm thinking about just calling it general right now, and then see if if I end up with one or more of a different type of thing. I'll break them down into subcategories as I go. But before I dive into that, just to basically, do a little quick explanation here, what's going on. You may have noticed also, I'm here in a different room. I switched from my guest room into the office. Let me know if it's a different sound quality or anything like that in here. I've got like a fan, and you might hear my heater running. One of the reasons I was using the guest room instead of the office. I wanted to switch it up just to give like a different feel to the video. I might do some graphics and things on here. We'll see if I play around with that or not. But I was just I'm going to call this 7 steps to get healthier. This is what we're going to call this. I just wrote down some general life advice that I found from different sources. Generally seem to give some same advice as each other. So I wrote down some of the ones that I most commonly run into, and I want to talk about a little bit about my personal experience these past few years. While I've been into like self-improvement and self-help and personal development and all that, and trying to get healthy. I'm going to talk about some of my failures and setbacks in that, and in general how I feel the world around us is holding us back. And I don't want to sound too much like that's an excuse, but it really is my opinion and my view, and I'll explain why as I'm going through breaking down some of these steps here to get healthier. How it can be really hard to do, and why so many people struggle with it, and how I personally have struggled with it, and how it's influenced by the world around us. Okay, so we'll start here. Step number 1: eat healthier. So that's one I've always personally struggled with. Partially because I have like some food sensitivities and digestive issues. It seems to seem. It's like there's a lot of things that like I just can't eat, and I found this out kind of the hard way. And it's actually part of like how I started eating healthier, because people misunderstand that concept. They think it means don't eat. They think it means get on a fad diet, only eat certain specific things. It means eat what's right for you. What's going to get you the vitamins and nutrients that you need? What works with your body and your diet and lifestyle? How much calories do you actually need based on how much work are you doing? Those are the things you need to start looking at to figure out what does your diet need to be, because it's not about not eating. It's not about only eating certain things based on like a certain trend or fad. It's about eating healthier, getting things that are whole foods and natural produce and things like that, things that are naturally grown. Cooking for yourself in your own home, eating that. But like I said, it's hard to do. One of the reasons for me, I just have trouble with a lot of foods, like what I can or can't eat. I'm still trying to figure that out and learn it, and see if I can't take maybe some food sensitivity and allergy test and see if that can eliminate some things, or explain like why I have those reactions. But that's part of, like I said, what my journey has been, is just trying different foods and eliminating different foods, and just kind of learning like a process of elimination, what seems to affect me negatively or not, and then cutting out those things that I am having a bad reaction to. Part of the problem with that is that it ends up being so limiting potentially that I'm missing out on certain vitamins and nutrients and things like that. I did go through a period where basically I cut my diet like extensively. I just like cut out a lot of what I was eating and just went straight not quite vegan, but almost like mostly vegetarian, mostly like ovo-lactate pescatarian. Sometimes it would vary, but like basically no meats and like only quote unquote natural, um, like supposed to be healthier foods and stuff with like no dyes or sweeteners or any artificial anything in it. Um, and so that limited me a lot on what I could eat, and like I just ended up with like a vitamin deficiency from that. So I had to start introducing some of that stuff back into my diet. And the good thing was when I was eating like that, I didn't have the digestive issues that I usually have. And now I've started eating other things, like my vitamins are back where they should be, or at least it seems like. I haven't taken any tests recently, but I'm not having the symptoms that I was. But like the digestive health issues are back, and I'm putting on like more weight around my midsection. So I got to kind of. That's why I said it's a struggle. I understand it's a struggle for a lot of people. There's other reasons other than just that, other than just personal health reasons. It's economic and what foods are available to you in the area where you live type of situations. A lot of people out there talk about like food deserts and just not having good options around you, having a lot of fast food and junk food and stuff like that around you. So that's step number one is try to eat healthier. Step two is get on an exercise routine. Here's another one that I failed at. I'm going to say here, just follow my advice, not my example. So when I was exercising regularly, I got a. I'll probably talk about this more on a different video elsewhere. But I got like a membership at Planet Fitness, which I do recommend them. Like a lot of people put them down. I think they're good. I mean, they're out there. They're everywhere. They're kind of like the McDonald's or Walmart of gyms of fitness. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. So I would promote them. But I got a membership there, and I got some like home workout equipment, and I started working out at home and there because I couldn't always make the gym. But when I was doing a regular workout routine, what I was doing is I would do 15 minutes every morning, stretching, doing some curls, doing some sit-ups, push-ups, different things like that. So 15 minutes of that every day in the morning, and then once a day or once a week, I would go to the gym and do like a whole hour, whole body routine, and then I would have one day of rest. And that seemed to work pretty well for me. I based that on what I'd read from other people about workout routines. But again, just like the eating healthy thing, it's all about finding what works for you. What gets you active, what gets you moving, what's going to work for your age, your fitness level, your health level, so on and so forth. That just basically gets you physically active and gets you heading in the direction you want to be. So one of the big things for me was I never really wanted to be one of those guys who's like big and bulky. Like I wasn't trying to go for like the big muscles and the weight gain and the muscle mass and all that. I was trying to just go more for general health and fitness, and also trying to lose some of the extra fat around my midsection, around my stomach and my thighs and that whole area down there. Kind of take some of that off of me, and also getting more flexible. So I also did like a lot of yoga and tai chi and stuff like that, and like I need to get back on all that. So that's step number 2 is to get on an exercise routine. Number 3, sleep well. I wrote here sleep well and sleep properly. So again, people think, okay, you're supposed to do like this certain thing. You're supposed to be asleep for 8 hours between these hours of the day or whatever. But again, that's all just based on you. Like different people work differently. So I always tell people I'm a natural night owl. I'm more awake at nighttime than I am during the daytime. And I've always needed like more sleep than most people. And so I've always kind of wondered if that means like something's quote unquote wrong with me, if there's something medical that needs to be fixed. Because like usually I need like 10 hours of sleep. But I'll sleep if I'm on my own schedule. If like I'm setting my sleep pattern, I'll sleep from 2 a.m. to 12 noon naturally. So like I'm asleep during the entire daytime. Like I'm awake in the afternoon, the evening, and nighttime. Um, but during those hours, when I am setting that to be my own schedule, like I'm awake and active and alert. Every time I've been in a situation where I was working a job where I'm like working in the mornings or whatever, I was exhausted. I couldn't get used to it, and it never worked for me. I would just always be tired, and I couldn't focus or do anything the whole time. And it's because I couldn't get on a sleep schedule that was actually working for me. This is again like what I was saying. This is one of the biggest problems. And why I say, like it sounds like an excuse, but it is partly like the world around us feels like it's working against us sometimes. Because it is hard to get on a regular sleep schedule that works for you if you have other things that are interfering with that, like work, and whatever else you've got going on around you that says, okay, we need you working these hours, you gotta be up during this time. It's nice if you have, like I had for a while, a job where you have like a regular schedule, that's better. There's a lot of jobs out there that'll say, okay, come in, work the night shift, close, get up the next morning, come back in and open. And so you're like, okay, I'm only getting a few hours of sleep in between then, and that's going to affect your productivity and everything else. And like a lot of employers out there just don't seem to realize that's not a good strategy to have for your employees. And so like that's one of the reasons why it's harder to get on that. But I would always advise, if you're able to figure out what's the sleep schedule that works for you, what are the hours when you're tired, what are the hours when you're awake, how much sleep do you actually need or not, and then set that as your regular schedule if you're able to. So that's step number 3 there. 4, you hear this all the time, stay hydrated, drink enough water. That's simple enough. Again, so hard. Like it feels like it shouldn't be. Thing that helped me a lot is just carrying around like a water bottle. They're not good for you, but I've got like the plastic water bottles, but I also got like a bigger one that I would carry to work with me, and that I could just like take sips out of while I was working. Number 5 here, I've got take breaks. And again, this is just going to be my constant complaint this whole time. It seems like work life and the way that most jobs seem to work, it makes it hard on us to do the things that are actually good for us. Because the recommended amount that you should be breaking, supposedly, like per the internet, is 5 minutes per every hour. Then it ends up basically just like multiplying based on that, like 15 in 3 hours, 30-minute break if you're working like 8 hours or more. You should be taking those breaks. And a lot of jobs just don't let you. They're just like, okay, you gotta work this whole time, no break. You break when you go home. And like, again, depending on what your employer is. And again, that makes you less productive. You're more tired, you're less focused. You're holding your bladder, like you gotta go to the bathroom, that's not good. That hurts your health. So if you're able to get a job or a career, a lifestyle where you can do that, you need to be reminding yourself to take those breaks. Number 6 here, I've got cut out toxins, allergens, and cancer-causing agents from your lifestyle, from your environment. That's one of the few ones I actually have been able to do pretty well. I just went through everything in my house and was looking at kind of like, what's in it, what's the stuff that could be, cause me some of my health problems that I have, or that could just be like not good for you in general. And I was like, okay, I'm tossing this. I'm tossing like soaps and shampoos and body washes and deodorants and toothpaste and like all kinds of different things, cleaning agents, different stuff like that, and started replacing them with ones that are supposed to be like quote unquote healthier and more natural, that don't include all those same chemicals like the phosphates and the parabens and all these other things. You've probably heard me talk about if you watch my product videos. And aluminum and all this other stuff. And so I started getting the ones that don't have all that instead. and it actually did improve my health in a way that I could tell. Like I felt better. Um, I did mention before, like switching away from all of those to what I use now. Like my body odor changed to where I smell more. Like I can smell myself instead of like smelling chemicals. And so it doesn't block like your sweat and your BO. You're gonna have that. Um, but it doesn't actually smell bad. And I said before, like I've always had an issue with BO and with just like smelling awful if I just didn't put like if I didn't just like wash myself, um, obsessively and put tons of deodorant and like not perfume, but like cologne, you know what I mean? Like just like chemicals all over myself to block my smell. And I stopped doing that, and like I smell more, but it doesn't smell bad. It just smells natural. Like it smells like I'm a man, like I'm a human, I'm a person, who's actually healthy, as opposed to having all these chemicals, inside of me. Uh, but again, I want to say here, you got to have a little bit of money to be able to do that. I'm not gonna say it's too much because it's only like a little bit more expensive to get those things than it is to get the regular ones. But it is kind of like a lifestyle thing that people who are more like quote unquote wealthier or well off, they tend to get into that lifestyle because they can afford it, and they're like, okay, like I'm gonna go do this thing because it's popular. It's popular and trending now with like the higher class people, I guess you could say. And a lot of just the ordinary everyday people out there that aren't necessarily getting into that as much, I guess. So they're just gonna go, keep getting whatever regular products are around there that might be making them sick. They don't even realize it. What do I have here? I'm trying to read my own handwriting. So number 7. So there were 7 steps. So here we are at the end, number 7. And this one I haven't been as good at as I wish I wish I would be. But it's pretty easy to do even without the money and even without the rest of the stuff. But it's to pray and meditate and practice spiritual or religious rituals and traditions. And I'm not going to get too preachy because I'm pretty open-minded to like all faiths and stuff like that. But it has been pretty much proven when you do these things, you feel better. It helps your physical and mental health. It helps boost your immune system. It helps you track time. If you basically, especially if you end up get into some type of practice where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this thing at this time of day, this thing once a week, at this day of the week, this thing during certain times of the year, like all the holiday seasons of like all the major religions tend to be like around each other because they're all around like the lunar clock and the passage of the seasons going from spring and into summer and fall and winter and all that. It all goes back like thousands of years. I could go on ad nauseum about all that stuff because it's something I've studied a lot about and I'm pretty passionate about. But without getting like too much into it, basically, it's what our ancestors were doing for thousands of years. And it seems like it's almost like it's wired in our brains that like we need to be having some type of spiritual practice in order to basically function as human beings. And I feel again, our modern age has kind of like pushed that out. There's you might hear me talk about this some other times in more detail, but there's kind of like this concept of we've gone through different like zeitgeist or spirit of the ages, and the way we view our reality has changed over time. Like you have this traditional viewpoint, which is a lot more what I'm talking about right now. Of you go to church or whatever religion you have. You go to some type of service and you do things like it's in a certain way. There's some type of higher power, and so on and so forth. That's like the traditional way of living, worldview. And then we moved into like the modern and the postmodern and so on. And we ended up with, if you get into like reading about this stuff, you hear about this a lot. There was this philosopher, I can't remember his name, who talked about it. Basically, we just ended up having the baby with the bathwater situation, where we were like, okay, everything from the past that was wrong, and we were like these stupid like primitive people or whatever. So we're just gonna throw all of that out. It's all bad now. Now we just have pure science, quote unquote, supposedly, and no meaning to life. Um, and that apparently doesn't work, is what we found. So, like a lot of what I'm talking about here, these 7 steps, that's all but just basically living a healthier lifestyle, living what works for you. But a lot of it has to do with doing kind of what our ancestors would have been doing anyway, living a more quote unquote natural lifestyle is what's supposed to be healthier. And that's what I was kind of saying in the very beginning. I feel like our modern world has made it to where it's very hard to actually do that. It's very easy to fall into the patterns of doing everything the exact opposite. And something I hear about a lot from like a lot of psychologists and self-help gurus and all these different people. They talk about they always hear the same stories from every client, every person who comes and talks to them. Says, I'm miserable, I'm sad, I'm sick, like everything's bad, I don't know why. And I start talking to them like about all these same things. This is why I listed these things. They go, okay, what are you eating? And it's nothing but fast food and junk food. Like how much sleep are you getting? I'm only sleeping 4 hours. Like, are you exercising? No. Do you pray? Do you go to church? Do you have any type of religion or spirituality? No. Yeah, basically they just end up working themselves to death and not having any regular pattern in their life. It's just all kind of random, and there's no real health routine in there. There's no taking time out for self-care. That's basically like why there's so many people out there saying they're sick and they're having like all this anxiety and depression and all these other issues. As one of the biggest contributors is we just have an unhealthy lifestyle. But our world, our environment has made it so easy to fall into that pattern and so hard to get out of it. I feel like that's one of the biggest contributors as to why we're seeing so many people like stuck in that unhealthy pattern that's making them feel that way. So yeah, I mean, part of what I did, I'm not going to say do this because that was pretty far out there. I just went ahead and quit my job because I was like, I'm doing a terrible job at taking care of myself right now. And again, not to make excuses, I feel like 2020 as a year as a whole was a big part of that. That it was such a crazy place to be. That it was so stressful. Like an emotional roller coaster that I just kind of like stopped paying attention to doing what was best for me. And like just started focusing on working all the time. I was just stressed out all the time. And so I'm not advising do this, but I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna quit my job. Just go do everything that's best for me. Focus on rearranging my values. Focus on starting my own career. Being my own boss, being my own person here, and start trying to mark off doing more of these things, getting back on that routine, so that I can try to get healthier again. And like I said, I'm not saying go out and do that, but definitely try to follow these steps. Like I said, don't follow my example, follow my advice. But I am going to try to follow my own advice, but I just didn't feel like I could do it anymore where I was in life. I couldn't do it with the job that I had, with the life that I had. I had to make radical changes. And I think ultimately, and this goes back to what I'm saying about it being like a global problem, like a problem with how our work is structured, how our work environments have been structured. Ultimately, we're going to have to see radical changes to all of that in order for more people to be able to live this kind of lifestyle. Because like I said, it's almost like it's a little bit like it's a thing just for the rich or the privileged or whatever. And everybody should be able to live like this. And I think we're just going to have to see radical change to how we work, how jobs function, how employers function. That's going to have to come from this place of basically changing what we refuse to accept. Without getting too political there, into all of that. That's my personal view. But I hope you enjoyed the video today. That's all I had to say about that. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna make some more of these. I'll make some more product reviews, and I hope you keep tuning in.